I want to wrap up this whole LinkedIn segment with some rapid fire LinkedIn strategies that do work and they take some interesting angles. So, buckle up. We're going to go through a bunch of these really fast. The hope is that you get something out of it and maybe you're able to use some of these tactics, hacks, whatever we want to call them. They're different strategies. So, we can all agree the job market has definitely changed. In the old market, you would basically apply and wait. And then again, apply, and then continue to wait. The odds are not within our favor to do it this way. So we have to create some interesting strategies that will allow us to either put ourselves closer to the front of the line or give ourselves at least the grace of being able to try a few different things that may get us noticed in an interesting way. That's what it's all about. So now it's really come down to using some of these hacks, strategies, tactics, and having thorough processes. Now, of course, we want to make sure that we have an optimized LinkedIn profile. We are continuing to build connections. We're engaging with those connections and we're demonstrating value outwardly so that people are like, who's this person? I need to talk to them. I know that we've already covered connecting with three different people from every company, but I want to shift gears just slightly and show a few different angles on how to do that. So, one angle is, of course, we want to follow the company, and that sometimes happens automatically when you auto apply. But the interesting way of potentially getting more opportunities is when people are active on LinkedIn and they are posting, we want to hide in the comments section and start engaging and liking and having some type of discourse. This is how we get noticed so that when we send our connection request after we've done that once or twice, they remember us. And they're like, oh, that's the dude or that's the lady from the comments section. Yeah, what's up? This is a really interesting kind of backdoor approach to get you in some type of conversational situation with these people. And it's really easy. Now, it all depends on whether or not they're active on LinkedIn, but it still works. Let's shift gears again. We're going into searching for the term hiring within posts, either hiring a job title or hiring within, insert the key phrase of a marketing department or function. So let me quickly show you what that looks like. Okay, we've all seen LinkedIn before. I'm going to type in the word hiring. Now I'm going to go over to posts. And now I have a feed of different posts that people have included the word hiring. Now, maybe I want to get a little more specific with the function of what I do, marketing. Now, you may notice that some of these posts can be very recent. Sometimes they could be as far back as more than 30 days. So I want to sort by latest and show results. And okay, interesting. Let me see if I can get something a little more specific to the role that I'm looking for. Now, if I wanted to go even more granular and find stuff that's uber relevant for me, then maybe I would look at stuff that's only within the past week or even 24 hours. Now we're cooking. So you can continue to do additional searches on here and find some really interesting stuff that may be a great fit for you. You won't know until you go looking for it. But often what happens is people don't want to pay the exorbitant prices for just advertising jobs. So what we do is we post on our own profile or on our company's profile. This allows you to get around that. Another really interesting route that I've personally used and found a lot of interesting angles to take is when somebody puts hiring within their headline. A lot of people, when they're building and they're having a lot of growth, are trying to hire for all sorts of roles. So let's hop over to LinkedIn. I'll show you really quickly what that looks like. All right, hiring. And this time we're putting down people. Aha, there we go. Now I can also change the location if I'm not interested in my local area. And there we are. You can try this out, and I think you'd be surprised. There's lots and lots of different ways to discover interesting people that you can connect with and potentially start a conversation about building opportunities. Now, there's always an interesting angle when it comes to searching for roles. A lot of roles are named arbitrarily, meaning somebody came up with a random name for the job that you actually are probably more than qualified for. Sometimes roles are not as obvious as one thinks. So the way that we can search is actually either by skill, by jargon, by tools, technology, certifications, the industry, anything that may end up in that job description. Everything is searchable. So first we'll set a location. Then we'll set the date since last posted, and then we'll throw in a few different words that we'll see what it comes up with. I threw in a video here just as like another point of validation. This guy also has this tactic, which I think is, yeah, phenomenal. So let's do this one together as well. So we're inside of the job portal on LinkedIn, and I am looking up skills. So let's do automation. And here we are. Some of these are interesting, but some are more than a month old. So I always want to make sure that I am either looking within the last 24 hours or past week. Better. Let's try a few other jargon terms. So playing with the results a little bit, I'm able to eventually find a few things that probably are a great fit. It just takes a bit of time to really manipulate, change, adjust, wordsmith some of these different things, but you'd be surprised. Like a lot of it actually is really doable. Maybe you don't know what to search for. Well, that's what AI really helps us with. Let's just do a really quick exercise. 20 skills, competencies, and responsibilities. So here I've put together a very simple prompt that basically is saying, hey, I want 20 skills, I want 20 competencies, and I want 20 responsibilities for somebody with my particular job title. You can do this just as easily in a probably much better prompt. Great. So any one of these lines or even parts of these lines would potentially be a search term. So if I'm just going to throw in a few of these, let's see what happens. Interesting. And these are reasonable jobs. Let's do another. That one didn't work. But what if I shrank it down to just one segment? There we go. Could be interesting. So you're starting to see that literally you can search for anything, and there isn't always a perfect way of doing this, but ultimately, yeah, like this does work. And it allows you to find stuff that you probably wouldn't normally find. The more you play with it, the more you're going to find. I would go through your different skills in the skills table that we created and start to plug in different terms because ultimately you're going to find a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily a very obvious job search. And this works across many, many different job boards. So if you're only focused on a very specific job title, start to look for some of the skill sets that you've already mastered or are clearly competent at and start looking up jobs that way. This is a really simple strategy, but when somebody announces that they've taken a new job, it never hurts to reach out and ask, hey, what happened to the old one? Would you be open to introducing me? What was it like working there? You'll probably end up getting an answer because one, people are excited to get away and start something new, and maybe they maintained a very good relationship with people and they're like, you know what, yeah, of course I'm going to make this introduction. And if you really know that person and you have good rapport with them, I see no reason why somebody wouldn't say yes. These sometimes are tricky, so you can't always find them when you're searching. It's kind of saving them when you see them. So let's jump over to LinkedIn and scroll, scroll. Hey, look at that. So this guy now is pretty high up over at IBM. Maybe I should reach out to him and figure out what he was doing before. Maybe I should reach out to him and say, hey, I saw that you were at so and so company before. Any chance you can make an intro? Or what's it like over at IBM? Maybe you're looking to hire. Usually these are pretty open dialogues and you never know where it goes. Last thing I will say, especially if you're scrolling on mobile, you can save posts so that you can come back to them. It's really easy to hit save. Now, where does that go? It's a bit of a rabbit hole. So on the left side, you're able to go down here and you can see saved items, and then you'll have to go into saved posts. Saved posts and articles, and there it is. Next strategy. Let's say that you find a job opening at a company you really want to work for. Connect with somebody that works there, usually lower on the totem pole, and ask them if they can refer you. When you find people working at that company, often they have some type of incentive structure, meaning they get a bonus if they reference somebody who eventually gets hired. This happens all the time. So essentially, if they're willing to vouch for you, then you have a foot in the door. This woman right here, she does a excellent job explaining exactly how to articulate the message and how it works. I have a version of my own that I can use anytime I want to here, and you're welcome to either screenshot that or copy it directly. It's up to you. But this methodology does work really well. It's not for everybody. Sometimes people feel icky asking, but I don't know. You lose nothing by trying. The next strategy, I think I've referenced quite a bit throughout different areas of this course, but especially if you're entering the job market now, which, hey, it's tough out there, you should probably be connecting with lots of people from your university, especially if you're moving abroad or you're aiming at different ecosystems. It would make a lot of sense to look up your university. As a secondary resource, you can really stay on top of this game and make sure that you're tracking all of your connections using a very simple template. I think it's sometimes overkill, but sometimes it really does help. And inside of resources, I've also included a bunch of the different outreach templates that would make a lot of sense for you to potentially use. There are so many cool angles. Some people peaked in high school, some people peaked in college, but I really do like a lot of these templates, especially if you had a great college experience and your college alumni is kind of associated with being, I don't know, friendly and helpful. It just really depends on where you're from, honestly. So let's do a quick version of this together. Let's do a quick one with my university as an example. So I went to George Mason University. Now I'm going to hit all filters and I want to find the school. There's the school. I'm going to hit show results. Great. Next, I want to filter by location. So I am in Denmark, and maybe I want to connect with other people in Denmark. Maybe I want to move somewhere else. I would put that country in. There's maybe a kinship of spirit, especially if you're talking or engaged with people that have already made the move. And maybe you're in a position right now where you're looking to move abroad. This is a great way to be like, hey, I'm from where we're both from. Like, let's connect. It's a really easy intro. So you can start looking through some of the profiles and do additional filters depending on maybe what field you're in, what industry you're in, and see if it makes sense to connect with anybody from this list. Last thing I'll say, because I have touched on a lot of automation, is that I can collect all of these at once. So I could very easily use the Walaxy tool here and basically say alumni, create, and numbered import. Let's just go with a solid 10. That's just one page. And done. I can go into Walaxy and now I have the 10 profiles scraped directly from that search results page. Now, I've already shown you how exactly one would go about creating a campaign in here. It would be super easy for me to reach out to these people, but yeah, I've shown you how to do that. So let's move on to the next strategy. The last strategy I'll show here is connecting with speakers and attendees for events. It's really easy to connect before, sometimes during, and of course after events. And it always gives you an interesting angle because you have something to discuss if you actually attended the event or just even read the summary. Here's how we quickly find events on LinkedIn, and then we will connect with speakers. So I'm just putting in crypto because that's an industry that I'm into. I hit events, and there are different events that are happening in the relatively near future. Now, if there's only one attendee, I'm not sure if I necessarily want to do that. Maybe this one could be interesting. Usually you can see the organizer and the speakers, so I'm just going to his profile. Seems like an interesting enough guy. Why not? So I'll connect. Really simple template here. Saw you were putting on office hour events. Basically, that's what the event is. And I said really interesting stuff. So compliment, happy to build my network and connect. And this is kind of like the risk reversal. So I'm not selling anything. I just dig what you're doing. Seems human and honest. I am a human. And I hit send. There we go. Now I could also potentially see who's in the comments section and start to have some type of back and forth or connect with people. Hey, saw that you commented on that event. Have you been to other events like it? Would love to build my network, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea.